Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again. This is Empire State of Baseball, episode number 167, airing on June 29th of the year 2026. We are airing on X, YouTube, presented by Diamond Sports Media, and powered by StreamYard. Well, gentlemen, here we go. It's the final episode of our podcast in the month of June. We always talk June swoon. Well, I mean, one team is going through a traditional rough stretch in June. The other team swooned a long time ago, and they're just continuing to swoon. So, obviously we'll get into all that. We also have a big heat wave coming up here. I'm looking at the weather app, and I'm seeing multiple days over 100. Every other day, with the exception of today and tomorrow, is in the high 90s, if not 100. So it's going to be a hot one, but it's going to be a hotter one tonight, gentlemen. Joe, how you doing tonight?
Before we get into it, Joe, just your thoughts. Paraguay in PKs over Germany. Big upset. Top 10 team in the world going down to Paraguay.
Wait a second. They're doing penalty kicks in an elimination games of World Cups. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was very exciting.
Play until they drop.
Brazil barely survived today. The Blue Bloods are in trouble, and I just want to know your thoughts.
Who cares?
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Joe, just before we hit it, Netherlands Morocco tonight. Huge game, big game. Might be one of the better games of this round. Just what are your thoughts? Who do you guys? Just give us a winner tonight.
I can think of about 150 things on TV I would rather watch than Netherlands Morocco soccer.
Would you? Wait, Joe, would you rather watch professional wrestling than the FIFA World Cup?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. And you guys at home don't know how much this kid right here hates professional wrestling and thinks it's for fools like me.
Wow. And 9 o'clock. When the show wraps up, check it out.
Listen, Tom. You're going to be the first one on notice when the Cricket World Cup final is. I'm going to make sure because I want you to keep this energy when cricket's around. You haven't talked soccer a day in your life other than when the World Cup starts, and then all of a sudden you're the biggest soccer fan in the world.
It's a lot of fun. I'm having a good time. I don't watch cricket, so I'm not going to watch the.
Well, you don't watch soccer unless it's the World Cup either. So what's the difference?
Listen, I watch enough soccer.
Oh, come on.
You stay tuned in.
Backyard soccer's the last soccer game I watched.
Look. So back, Corey, to your intro, going to be a heat wave we got. This actually may be my last episode ever because I think I might be spending my last day on Earth on Wednesday. I'm going to the Yankee game, stuck in section 104. There's no overage, and it's supposed to be 97 degrees. And I'm going to be watching Will Warren probably torture myself. Look, I think it's gotten to the point now, and if Ryan Weathers' start wasn't a precursor to it, if the Yankees are getting blown out, I mean, that's all the ammunition for me to just sayonara to that game a little bit early. But I'm setting up.
Listen, last week could be a very miserable experience. Why would the Yankees want Scooble? How could they even use Scooble? And now, I mean, we got Warren is absolutely in the dumpster. Ryan Weathers had another bad start. You telling me this team couldn't use Scooble? We couldn't use a little Scooby snacks?
This current team right now might. But in a month from now, when this team is a little bit more healthy and a little bit more round, I'm telling you, the need is still not going to be there. And I'm going to hold to it. And look, I stressed it today on a Bronx take. If I get that notification from passing sometime over the next month and a half that the Yankees acquired Tarek Skubal, I'm going to lose my mind. Like in a good way. I mean, how many times are you going to run into that acquisition news and now adding that on top of your rotation that you currently have? But if it is not into an effort to now address everything else that are problematic for this team, that's where I'm going to have a problem. I think it was a take that I believe it was Joe who actually made this take last week. If the Yankees are going to go all in and it's Skubal plus, then look, I don't think any Yankee fan is going to really have a problem with that at the end of the day if the sights are on a World Series. But if it's just Skubal, I don't know how much that answers a lot of the other existing problems for this team. But we'll get more into it a little bit later on with the Yankees. Big Mets news over the weekend. Carlos Mendoza out of a gig on Friday. Corey, Joe, I know we're going to get into the Mendy news shortly. So a lot of stuff Slowly but surely trickling in. A lot of good news stories. So we're going to talk about it. Got the All-Star game coming up. So I know we got a big segment there as well. But before we get into the rest of the fun, Tom, let's talk about rowback.
Let's talk a little rowback as the days get hotter. You're looking for some nice, cool things to wear, some lightweight materials, soft, stretchy materials, and rowback has you covered with all those good things. You see Joe rocking a polo tonight. Yeah, I mean, listen, they're talking about the softest, stretchiest polos, Q-zips. Again, Q-zips, hoodies, probably not so interested right now, but the bathing suits, the shorts, short sleeves, T-shirts. Rowback got all of it. Head over to rowback.com. That's RHOBACK.com. Use promo code TWASPL15. Get yourself 15% off your first order. Take a look. A lot of great, as we are on the precipice of the America's 250th birthday. Rowback has you stocked with USA different designs. Some more bold designs, some more subdued designs. Some flag stuff going on. Head over there, order something for the 250th. Celebrate America, celebrate Rowback, celebrate this show.
Yeah, 100% go ahead, especially with this heat wave. I mean, if you need some lighter feeling clothes that also look good, Rowback's got the stuff for you. So go ahead and check it out at TWASPL15 is the code you want to use. So go ahead and check out Rowback. But anyway, let's go with the Rowback rundown for this evening's episode. We're going to start out first with the Empire Express, giving the latest and greatest of New York baseball news. There's a lot to talk about. Should be an eventful show. The defining moment will be our game segment tonight, where two of us are going to present a moment from a game in the past. And throughout the show, everyone here is going to try to take some guesses at what are the key missing players and or moments of that particular moment. And finally, we're going to end up with the MLB All-Star Game. We're going to present our ballots. We're not just going to do our first bracket. We're also going to go into the second team bracket as well. Should add a little bit of variety. I know in a lot of positions, it seems pretty obvious, no-brainer. There's a couple of positions that, might be up for debate. And then you look at some of the second seed players, and it's like, all right, now the debate gets really interesting. Who deserves it over another player? So looking forward to the MLB All-Star Game ballot results a little later tonight. But anyway, let's go ahead and kick it over to that Empire Express. And Rich, let's talk about the Mets. We had a lot of Met news over the last week. I mean, you mentioned it at the start. The Mets did fire Carlos Mendoza. Took a while. They had a couple of opportunities to go ahead and make this firing. But the team was very adamant. They love the coaching staff. They love Mendoza. They believe in him. They believe in the team. They're not going to make a move. It took not one. It took not two. But it took essentially 3 miserable runs by this team for them to finally pull the trigger. Obviously, we know what happened in April. That would have been opportunity.
Corey, you've gone muted. I don't know if anybody else can hear him based on some reactions.
I do not hear him.
So, Corey,
Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, listen. To me, it's a little too late to fire him. It was more putting him out of his misery at this point. Was it all Carlos Mendoza's fault? No. But we have seen for over a year now, since last June, Mendoza's inability to stop the hemorrhaging, and that at the end of the day, the manager is ultimately partially responsible for making your team a team, and B, when you have games like you had the other night where there's 6 errors in a game, and then you follow that up with another 2-error night, that's ultimately on the manager. You got to get your guys up, ready to play ball on a fundamental level. And the Mets for the last 2 weeks have not done that. So now, we could say that the process was good, that even though the team was struggling, the processes were fine. And then all of a sudden you start seeing those processes break down and lead to mental mistake after mental mistake after mental mistake that cost you ball games and cost you basically your season and your chance to ever even try and get back into a season, that's when you got to say, all right, it's time to pull the plug, because what we're doing now isn't working. Whether it's all the manager's fault or not, we're not winning with Carlos. And so, I said it before. I don't know if I can win with Soto and Lindor as my core. I don't know if I can win with McLean.
Why can't you win with?
But
why can't you win with Soto and Lindor as your core?
No,
I've heard that. And Soto is a top 4 player in baseball. Lindor is probably second or third best shortstop in baseball. Why can't you win with those two?
The answer, Tom, is I don't know if we can. But I know the pieces on the team that we could not win with. And you were not going to win anything with Carlos Mendoza as your manager. You are not going to win anything while Vientos is starting games at first base, while Senga is starting in the rotation, while David Peterson's starting in the rotation. I know what is on this team right now that we have no chance of winning anything with. These are pieces that are supposed to be part of this team, that are supposed to help bring this team forward, and they are doing anything but that. So now we have to say, okay, what does it take now? Is it a new manager and all of the things will turn around? I certainly doubt that. But at the moment, the Mets have to start removing each and every cancerous tumor left on this body, because that's what they have right now. And they traded David Peterson for the Cubs' 13th ranked prospect. That the fact that you got anything for the guy, let alone a top 15 prospect in another organization, is astonishing to me. That was a great move. Yeah, you weren't winning with him, and now it's got to be Senga's got to go. He cost you another game the other day after Ewan came off, hit the pinch home run. And now all of a sudden you turn around and you gave it to Senga and he blew another game. In probably the best game he's pitched all season. His ERA actually lowered from mid-10s to mid-9s. But
it was better.
You can't win with that guy. You can't win with Vientos making 4 errors in the last 14 games. Like, that's not a winning formula. And so if you don't start removing these cancers from the team, you're never going to go anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. Listen, Joe's 100% right. I mean, between the players on the team who have just been absolutely terrible, and we spoke about them a lot last week, those quote-unquote baby Mets, plus Senga, plus Peterson, who weren't really the baby Mets, but they're a part of that old core. Just simply not living up to it. And what we saw towards the end, right before they fired Mendoza, the mental mistakes went to another level. I mean, listen, we know Vientos isn't a great fielder, so when he was making some errors early in the year, it is what it is. But the mental errors across the whole team, and it wasn't just the noticeably bad players, it was the good players too. I mean, Benj has looked very good in the outfield. He played a terrible right field in a couple of games. I mean, you just saw poor defense and poor decision-making throughout. When I was trying to make the point before I lost my audio, this is essentially the third strike on Mendoza. They had obviously the worst run in April where they had the 13-game losing streak. I have no problem not firing him then. It is what it is. It's still so early at that point. Started to rally back early May. Then they had another dreadful week where I think they won like 1 game in 9. That was the week before and after Memorial Day. They were like 1-9 in a 10-game stretch. That was strike 2. And then you saw this past week with strike 3. I mean, they have a 5 or 6 game losing streak, and they saw themselves get down to 14 under 500, which is the lowest point they've ever been in Carlos Mendoza's era. So it really was third strike. That's it. 3 strikes, you're out. That was the case here with Mendoza. Will he get another gig somewhere? Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see. There's a lot of issues with this team. And I think, just kind of touching on the points that we discussed last week, the baby Mets, this, that, the other thing. I actually watched every game this weekend. I was intrigued with Andy Green taking over. I want to see how the team responded. They actually doubled down on almost every point we discussed last week. They doubled down. And a couple of good points. Yeah, the outfield's great. I think with Soto, Benj, and Ewing, you have a really good outfield core. That's hopefully the core out there for a long time. I really like those players. I really love the kids. I think they're doing a nice job in their rookie season. But you're seeing the baby Mets flail. Mauricio and Alvarez both completely failed when the game was on the line yesterday. Bases loaded, 1 out. Orion went through 9 straight balls. Mauricio swings at the first pitch, pops it up, bases loaded, 1 out. And then Alvarez strike 3 on a pitch nowhere near the strike zone. How many times have we said the story before? So a lot of, some good things, a lot of bad things, and it's just the same story each and every week.
Yeah, it was rough, especially, that if I think it was the final game of Mendoza's run with the Mets where they made 6 errors within the infield. I mean, just not the way you want to go out. I think after a game like that, something's got to happen. And unfortunately, I mentioned this on Friday, in an accountability sport, unfortunately, it's typically the coaches and the manager that usually fall on the sword. And it was Mendoza's time. And the question that we plugged here. Was it a little too late, or is it still too late? Yeah, it was. I mean, you had teams making those organizational changes early in the season. The Red Sox made a big move changing out Alex Cora. The Phillies made a big move in changing out Robbie Thompson. And now, look, the Phillies have been better since. I mean, it's kind of crazy that the Phillies did this now twice with managers where they looked like a better team ever since making the change. The Red Sox actually played better ball of late. We'll get more into that in a little bit on the Yankee side. When it comes down to Carlos Mendoza, look, I'm a Mendy fan. I liked having Mendy in our own organization. It's just maybe this is not a role meant for him, or maybe this is the wrong managerial job at the wrong place. I always look back at, I wanted to go back in time to kind of touch back on those times where the Mets had brought in David Stearns, where David Stearns immediately, took the job away from Buck Showalter. And I was starting to think then, I was like, well, maybe the obvious move for the Mets was Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell went to the Cubs. Mendoza became the second choice, if that. So I almost wonder if Mendoza was going to be the guy, was not, I don't know if he was meant to ever be the guy. The Mets had that amazing run in 2024, which I would think is a run even the organization wasn't expecting. So much so that you look at the trade deadline.
I don't think Buck Showalter ever could have worked with the Mets because he knows ball and David Stearns doesn't. And I think David Stearns couldn't handle a guy just dropping it on the table in front of him. And I think that wouldn't work. I think Buck's a guy, he's an old school guy. He knows the game. Joe,
I will say, Tom,
praises for years. And I just don't think that works with a guy like Stearns, who has to feel like he's the smartest guy in the room.
I will say, of the critics of David Stearns early, I remember Tom was the first on it, and maybe we took it as, Tom's just trolling, he's a Yankee fan. But he had stated, like, what did David Stearns do to really prove that he earned this job? And it seems like after now the Mendoza firing, well, the rest of the Mets fans are ready to have David Stearns' job, which is incredible considering where we were 2.5 years ago when the Mets brought him in. So now Andy Green's in the fold. So this is going to be, interesting to see how this works now under Andy Green. I can't expect much if the Mets have a plus 500 rest of the season with Andy Green in tow, then maybe it's a consideration to keep Green in that position in 2027 or whatever 2027 is and beyond. Or they look into, which I believe was already reported, that the Mets will probably look into a full-time manager come the end of the season. So that'll be an interesting conversation. Do we revisit the Alex Cora talks? Do we revisit the Carlos Beltran talks? I know Albert Pujols has shown interest in possibly coming into the mix. So we'll have those conversations later on. I wanted to bring this up, and this was like a last minute ad. I had no intention to talk about this, but people brought up the Eric Chavez comments on his EC3 podcast. And for those who didn't know, Eric Chavez, former hitting and bench coach for the New York Mets, kind of got into what was going on top down stated that the Mets were essentially coddling Juan Soto, especially in those first few months, that
You
Soto
think?
seemed separated from the team. Joe, I know this is relatively, breaking stuff because I don't know if even this podcast came out this morning or over the weekend, but your thoughts on these comments by your former coach?
Yeah, I mean, I have to take everything that somebody who just got fired says with a grain of salt. I mean, listen, we know there were clubhouse issues last year. How overstated they are, I'm not sure. And even in his interview today with the dugout guys, with McCann and those guys on their podcast, he kind of walked back and is like, yeah, the clubhouse, they had their small issues, but it wasn't a big deal. My problem with Eric Chavez is listening to some of his comments. This is a guy who was hired in 2022 as the hitting coach. The Mets have basically, for the last 5 years, not ever lived up offensively to the expectations we've set for them, with guys like Lindor and Pete Alonso and Nimmo on this team, and McNeil, former Batten title champion. He was promoted to bench coach in 2023 after the Mets collapsed basically at the end of 2022. Then he was removed as bench coach, back to hitting coach, and the Mets proceeded to, they made the playoffs in 2024, and then they got Soto in 25, and basically didn't hit up to the level of expectation until the last 2 months of the season. So, one of the quotes that Chavez had yesterday on this podcast was basically, we kind of underachieved offensively the first half of the season. Okay, whatever, it is what it is. And then proceeds to rip David Stearns for not acquiring the right pieces at the deadline. Well, Eric, you were in charge of the hitting on the major league level. They underachieved offensively. How about you take some responsibility for that before pointing the finger at Stearns? And then he says Stearns didn't acquire the right relief pitchers for us. He required 3 relief pitchers, all prominent relief pitchers in Rogers, Soto, and Helsley last year. And then he sits there and claims, well, if you did your homework, you knew that these were New York kind of pitchers. I'm sorry, Ryan Helsley? Did anybody think that this guy wasn't going to fit New York? Bell throws a fastball through a brick wall. He's closing games for the Orioles in Yankee Stadium, for Christ's sakes. And he looks like $1 million. He comes over here, he can't get it out. So
Joe, I'm going to push back on the Mets offense from last year. They were 4th in OPS plus last year. They were like 8th or 9th in runs scored. Top 5 in it looks like 5th or 6th in home run. Like they were a good offense. I made the point so many times in the offseason. The offense wasn't the problem. The fact that Stearns broke down the entire pitching staff was, he didn't redo the pitching staff was the issue. The offense was fine.
But Tom, if you remember correctly, the issues flipped midseason for the Mets. The Mets started out, Soto was awful the first few weeks, the first 2 months.
Sure.
Lindor started out.
Is that Eric Chavez's fault?
The only person who started out decently was Pete Alonso, because he was trying to get paid. The Mets had no offense.
The guy they didn't bring back.
But Tom, the pitching carried them the first half of the year. And then all of a sudden they got to July. Senga got hurt. Peterson forgot how to get it out. And nobody could make nobody could make it out of the 5th inning. But Eric Chavez is sitting there claiming that it's all David Stearns' fault. But he was in charge of the hitting. The Mets could have gotten out to such a lead in the first half if the hitters were hitting
good overall. Yeah, they might have started slow, but it's
at the end because they were playing. They had to win every game 10-9 every game at the second half.
Joe, just to clarify, are you stating you think Eric is over exaggerating things that have happened, or?
I think Eric is bitter. I think Eric is not taking responsibilities for what Eric could control.
So you think Eric Chavez is a liar?
I think he's playing the blame game. And here's the other thing. And he said it himself, right? He's like, well, Anthony Richardson and Jeremy Hefner landed on their feet. Well, guess who didn't land on their feet? Eric Chavez. So he's pissed off. And Corey will tell you, no Met fan loved Eric Chavez as the hitting coach.
That is true.
For years, this team underachieved offensively. What happened to Jeff McNeil? Jeff McNeil was a batting champion. What happened?
I'll never understand that one. Yeah.
McNeil got old.
How about this? How about we talk about the baby Mets and how they've underachieved? You've been the hitting coach and had the chance to mold each and every one of these guys. And every single one of these guys is a failure. Brett Beatty, Ronnie Mauricio, Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez. He was the hitting coach up until this year. Their failure is partially to blame on him. That's not mentioned by him. Okay? And don't get me wrong. Stearns deserves some heat. But when you go through Stearns' track record, the only reason that the Mets were even in the NLCS were because of Stearns' signings in 2024, because he signed Minaya, he signed Severino, he signed Iglesias for $850,000 off the scrap heap. He brought in JD Martinez, who was a good influence on Mark Vientos. He did all those things. And how'd they get into the playoffs? They won a tiebreaker in game 161 of the season. That's how they got in the playoffs. So maybe the team it's just not that good. Let me bring this. Let me tell you something here, right? And then I'll send it to Corey. Before all of you want to fire Stearns and send him to the wood chipper, let me tell you real quickly, since Nimmo was drafted in the first round of 2011, stop me when you hear a big name. In the first round, Kevin Plawecki, Gavin Cecchini, Dom Smith, Michael Conforto, who was good for the Mets. I'm not going to kill Conforto. He got hurt. Anthony Kay, Justin Dunn, David Peterson, Jared Kelnick, Brett Beatty, Pete Crow Armstrong, who they traded, Kumar Rocker, Jet Williams, Kevin Parada, Colin Hoke, and now Carson Bench. Which GM drafted a winner in the first round? Do you know how much career war that all those first round picks from here to 2012 have in total? In total, 30. And the two guys with the most war are on the team. You can't tell me it's David Stearns' fault. What franchise is going to be successful? By the way, do you know who Brett Beatty was drafted over? Brody Van Wagner. Do you know who you drafted Brett Beatty over? Corbin Carroll. Corbin Carroll is an MVP candidate every year. So don't tell me this team is doomed because David Stearns, when that collection of fucking bums in the first round, year after year, Gavin Cecchini barely played a game in the major leagues. Where's Colin Houck? Where is he? They're bum at. Where's Anthony Kay? He was pitching in Korea. They traded Justin Dunn. Justin Dunn started 6 games in his major league career. So we're sitting here playing with David Stearns. David Stearns has had in a barrel of rotten fucking tomatoes. He had a 30-30 season. He's batting 285 with 18 home runs and 20 steals. He's going to have 20-20 before the All-Star break. He's the best center fielder we've seen in a generation in terms of fielding. And we traded Zach Scott. We traded out Levy Baez.
Oh, man.
Clip that.
All the Met fans, before you want to fire David Stearns, look back at the winners that have drafted those guys in the first round. Go look at the 2023 draft.
That Someone needs to put Joe at the pasture. We're good. We're good.
The only thing I'll say, I mostly agree. Joe brought up a ton of good points. The one thing I'll say, where there's smoke, more times than not, there's fire. But I think we're talking about a fire pit, not a forest fire when it comes to the whole Chavez situation. I agree with a lot of what Joe said about him being salty. It ended bad. And Chavez, right off the rip, once he got let go, was taking it out on fans on social media. Right off the rip, it ended bad. I do think he brings up some good points. Yeah, I do think Stearns is an asshole to work for, from what I've heard. But you know what? I'd rather have an asshole that wins games than a good guy who sucks. You know who's a good guy who sucked? Exik, former Jets GM. He was a great guy, very nice guy. The team sucked ass. Not that Stearns has won much here, but I'm just saying, again, at the end of the day, it's a business. I don't really care if it's a likable guy, as long as you're not a criminal. Just go ahead and win me ball games. But But again, I think he brings up some good points, but I do think it's mostly Hunter.
We're going to run the gauntlet on this. We'll get to the Yankee stuff in a little bit. Just want to get to your comments. Haven't had a chance to read it yet. Rich going to be 4 beers deep by the 5th inning. Going into the game on Wednesday, going to probably die of heat exhaustion. It's looking like 97 degrees as I'm going to get baked in section 104. So come join your boy out there if you got nothing better to do. Chris goes, Joe looks like a 2-time dad. You know why? Okay. Yeah, sure.
We got one coming.
There we go. So part of the two-time club over here. A lot of ES babies happening over here. We got Jordan in the building. What's up, Jordan? Good to see you. Hitman goes, Tom looks like Farva from Super Troopers. I was trying to put it together, and I was like, well, maybe he's got a point there. Oh, yeah, I would say. I think there's a resemblance there. Farva of Super Troopers. So shout out to Hitman, always here, always supporting. We got, oh God, I lie. What we got? Hot take. David Stearns loves that the Mets have completely collapsed in the 2026 season so he can blow it. Sure. I'm sure every general manager loves to be in this exact position that he's in right now. Firing the manager in June. Dom Smith, mentioned there by our guy, Dr. Kulo. Big Slick Tom looks goofy with that mustache. Tom.
I truly could not care less what Little Slick thinks.
There you go, Little Slick. Joe goes, Teddy about to kick Joe's ass for waking him up. Joe waked up the whole neighborhood there. Joe's version of the no Michael K rant and extra innings till 10, Chris. Ooh. So yeah, if you're getting your comments in, you really want to make Joe's life more of a living hell later on tonight, 9:30 p.m. extra innings. Let's get into the Yankee stuff, Thomas.
I'd rather just pass, but
it has been fun. It really hasn't. There's definitely some things to talk about. 3-8 over their last 11 games. That looks like it's going to be 3-9 over their last 12, given it's a 7-0 lead at Yankee Stadium right now. I was sitting there thinking, maybe the Yankees are just going to come off this series sweep against Boston and take this as momentum and say, we can't allow games like this to happen ever again. And here we are at 7-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning. The offense absolutely abysmal. 1 hit, 2 errors on the board here tonight. So look, the Jazz stuff is going to be interesting now because Jazz Chisholm actually left this game. Looks like he and Jason Dominguez had a collision out in right center field. So I don't know, Tom. I don't even know where you want to take this. It's been sad baseball, but it's sad baseball I think we probably should have expected.
It is sad baseball. I think if you take the rational long look, this isn't the Yankee team that we're hoping to have in September going into October. There's a lot of guys that are hurt that we are expecting back. But the truth is, all the games count. The games in September don't count twice. So you need to win these games. You need to keep winning games while you have guys hurt, so you can. You're not out of it, or you're not in a bad spot. Again, the AL is so bad. The Yankees would have to just do some truly metropolitan level things to collapse to not make a playoff spot. Now, listen, how they're playing recently, that's certainly in the cards. But I think we both know, and the listeners out there know, the team's got to improve because they're going to get guys back. But where do they end up if that happens? Can they still win the division if they're playing like this? That's going to be tough to do. The Yankees have always been a really good home team in the playoffs. Yankee Stadium in the playoffs. If you don't win the division, if you don't win the division and get the 1 seed, you are giving up games at home, which I think this team, not by the way they're playing tonight, but. They do play well at home for, historically, and you're giving up a lot of that. The team's going to get better. You're going to get Judge back. You're going to get Grisham back. You're going to get Stanton back eventually. You're going to get Max Fried back. Cole's still working his way back in. Rodon, to a level, still working his way back in. Some of these guys who are in the rotation that have been struggling can kick to the bullpen. Hopefully that fixes some of their issues, and then you improve that bullpen. You make trades. I think this team, Rich, to your point, is going to look a lot better, especially when they trade for Tarek Skubal in a few weeks now. This team's going to be better. It's just what's their record going to be when they get there?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at, right? It's
right.
like it's embarrassing to get swept in Fenway. It's embarrassing that 3 of the 4 games they're getting no hit through 5 or 6 innings. Like it's embarrassing. And the Red Sox are terrible, and they're still they still got absolute dog walk by them. So it's tough. You want to get angry because of how they're playing, but at the same time, this team is not the team you're gonna be stuck with at the end.
I think that's where I'm at. I teeter towards that logic. And again, guys, it's June 29th, 2026. We've been through this year after year after year after year. The team is hot.
But this year
in baseball
for the first. I think it's different.
Well, it's a little bit different, but at the same time, it's like still the team overall started off hot. Had some guys lost to the IL. Some guys went the other way where, look, Ben Rice was torching everybody. And over the last month, Ben Rice has not been the same offensive player. It's one of those notes that I pointed out, like when Aaron Judge went down, it'll be interesting to see how Ben Rice does without him preceding him in the batting order and seeing how that adjusts for Ben Rice. He still has to make the adjustment back, and I'm sure he will. When it comes down to it, though, it's everything else. It's the bad defense. They're not getting adequate starting pitching right now. And I guess where the fans are losing their minds is like, well, the team as currently constructed, even without your major players, should be beating the teams like the Tigers and the Boston Red Sox and the Cincinnati Reds. They shouldn't be losing games to these guys. And at the end of the day, these are still Major League Baseball teams. And you're not going to win as many games as you expect when you don't have your star player, when you don't have one of your other star players, when you don't have a guy with 34 home runs. The Yankees lineup is missing 3 guys that combined for 111 home runs in 2025. And if we really want to look at it, and I'll do the silver lining thing all day. This time last year, 83 games into the season, barring whatever happens in tonight's game, the Yankees had the same exact record. The Yankees went in 48-35 at this point, and that team ended up winning 94 games. We just have to get to a timeline as a fan base, and I get it right now. It's a lot of shit, but we got to get to that timeline that Tom mentioned, that August, September, October team, because that's the one that's going to matter the most. And whether that's going to have Tarik Skubal in the rotation or Ryan Jeffers starting behind the plate, there's going to be a better version of this team at the very minimum because you have people coming back along the way off the IL. Corey, Joe, we'll get to you real quick on the Yankees front, and then we're going to keep it moving.
Yeah, I think the Yankees' best friend right now, I mean, obviously they've been getting mostly good pitching, maybe not so much of late, but the Yankees' best friend right now is they are in an absolute dog shit league. What happened to the American League?
Sucks.
It's the end of June. It's June 29th. There are only 4 teams in the American League over 500. In the entire league, there's only 4 teams over 500. Wow. I mean, you go to the National League, you got divisions with 4 teams over 500. Divisions with 4. The American League has completely fallen off. I mean, I go back to when we were growing up, the 90s, the 2000s. I always feel like it was like a 60-40 split in favor of the American League. I feel like the most dominant teams tend to be in the American League.
Well, that was
now
the Yankees
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's completely switched. I mean, the Yankees right now, they're going to do what the Yankees do. And this is the story of the Yankees. It feels like every year, start off really hot, one of the best teams in baseball. Late June through July, they seem to teeter a bit, fall off. They start to turn around in August. September, they're cruising. They go into the playoffs, and then, they dominate one round and then fall apart the next. That seems to be the mantra of the Yankees the last 5 years. But the Yankees' best friend right now is that division, and they have a luxury that they could deal with 2 weeks of bullshit. Whether it's pitching not playing well and waiting for guys like Max, trying to figure out how we're going to get the bottom of the lineup going. We'll see what happens with Jazz here. You mentioned he left the game. The good thing is the Yankees have the luxury of being able to play 500 baseball for a full month and not lose their spot in the standings. Maybe they lose a couple of games on the Braves, but the Yankees are making the playoffs. It's an absolute given the Yankees are making the playoffs. It's just a matter of, can you put that best team on the field at the end of September and October, because that's what matters most.
Yeah, and listen, the Yankees without Judge, it's almost a miracle they played this well up until this point. Their pitching had been playing at a level that was borderline unsustainable. I mean, everybody in the rotation was given 110% throughout. So the Yankees were due to come back down a little bit, just because Goldschmidt had played so well for so long that nobody expected that. They've really been able to absorb that hit of not having Aaron Judge there. But at the same time, they're starting to see a couple things. Cole, who started out and threw 2 shutouts his first 2 starts, hasn't looked really that comfortable since. As I look at Corey and Corey only right now.
What's that?
Cole, Cole's working his way back still from Tommy John. He's still showing some rust, as good as those first 2 outings were. So I think there's, you guys, I think the Yankee fan has to realize this team isn't whole. And this is more, not that they were playing at 2 and 8 level, but this is more similar to what you can expect combined with the last month versus what you'd expect, when Judge first went down and the Yankees just kept chugging along. Without Judge, they're probably going to play more 500 ball until Judge comes back. But in the AL this year, that is more than enough to make the playoffs, whether it's the division or one of the wild cards. I think the Yankees at this point will just say, listen, we're going to wait for Judge, the news on Judge, and we're going to hope for the best. And whenever he's back, if he's back this year, which he probably will be, we're going to be ready to go from then on.
I'm going to save the Jazz Chisholm talk for later on tonight for the interest of time. So join us for extra innings. We'll talk about Jazz. Got a nice, got some kind words here for Tom Wospil from LI. Tom, you don't watch the games if you want Scooble.
First off, LI, you're known as probably the biggest moron in all of Yankees Twitter. So I'd watch yourself there. And my point I made last week is the Yankees have. Whoa, wait a minute. This printer's going off right now. It is ruining my yelling at LI. I don't know if you guys can hear that. If you can, too bad.
He's sending you a fax right now that says,
yeah, he's sending me a fax. That's probably what LI is doing. Is Tarik Skubal the number one issue or need for the Yankees? No, but would you feel good if Tarik Skubal was on top of your rotation in the playoffs? You absolutely would. This Yankees team is here to win. They should go out and try to get the best players they can at the deadline. And if there was an all-star third baseman or an all-star catcher available, that would be high on the Yankee priority list. I would want that over Tarik Skubal. Those guys don't exist. They're not really out there to be traded for. So if they're not, my point is if they are not available, I'd rather use my assets to go get a Skubal if that's something that's on the table. Then because you still can get your medium upgrade and catcher and third if you really want to go do that. But if you got the chips to go get Skubal, go get Skubal.
Yeah,
your point about third base and being available. We'll get into the All-Star ballots later. Looking at third base, especially, what a rough position.
Well, that's my whole point. Might be guys. Yeah, Prime A-Rod's not on the trading block. So what do you?
Third base might be the position you can't answer. Like it was already a tough position to answer last year. They ended up going down the Ryan McMahon route. Their choices were McMahon, Brian Hayes, and you've seen how that's worked out so far for Cincinnati. I don't even think he's a starting third baseman anymore for the Reds. And Eugenio Suarez, who was gone in 2 months. Look, it wasn't the sexiest of options this year. I think you have less options there now. So they may have to just live and die by the fact that it could be McMahon, Caballero in some kind of platoon. And if that's batting 8th or 9th in your batting order, it's not the worst option in the world.
I think the solution would be to go get a shortstop and move Caballero third. That might be your
sure. Well, tell me the shortstop that's available that makes the difference.
Well, CJ Abrams.
We'll get to Bo Bichette's barely a shortstop, let alone third base. All right. Well, anyway, let's get to Corey Favs. He's gonna talk Instagram, and then we're gonna get to our game.
Yeah, listen. Go ahead, follow us on Instagram and TikTok if you want to get clips from the show. If you want to get Rivera rewinds, Mets minutes, you name it. Go ahead and follow us on both Instagram and TikTok at Empire State of Baseball. Again, especially at the top, we're over 200 now. So that went from 0 to 200 really quick. Thank you for giving us a follow there. Again, at Empire State of Baseball on Instagram and TikTok.
That was a little Drake right there. 0 to 200 real quick. I don't know if you realize what you did there. I kind of like that. All righty. Well, look, we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna get into the game. Our standings right now, Joe in a comfortable lead, 13. Corey, Favs, Tom, and I are pulling the rear there, 8-7-6 in that order. Tonight's game is defining moment. We're gonna look at a classic moment in Yankees or Mets history that's missing 3 key facts. So Corey, Favs would kick it off on the Mets end. So throw it right back to you. Lots of points available. Somebody could come out here with 6 more points. We're 0. We'll see how it goes. Corey.
And Rich, just to confirm with this one, I think we're doing the batting order type rotation, right?
That is correct. So in this case, since I will have the next game, I'm going to guess the next. I'll probably take this down. I'll take the first guess. Then I'm going to throw it over to Tom. Then Joe will go in the order of who's got the lowest to highest points there. In the next round, it will be the same deal, but Corey will go first. Okay. So here we go, Corey, with the defining moment.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take it back to 2004. I went with 2004 because I'm hoping this is a similar trend where 2004 was a little bit of a bottom out year. I know they were worse, obviously, in 03, but this was like the last year before that new Mets era with Beltran and Pedro. So I'm going back 2004. The New York Mets opened up this game in the second inning with a 2-run shot hit by Blank. That would be the first of multiple home runs on the day by this player. And this was a power surge day for the Mets. You can see that final score at the bottom, 10-1. Anyway, in the 5th inning, Blank hit a ball off of a speaker at the old Olympic Stadium for the Expos, which was ultimately determined as a grounds rule home run. Later in the game, the Mets were already up 7-1. This player would hit an RBI triple to hit the cycle. The Mets, again, 4 home runs total in the game, a complete rout, offensive rout, 10-1 final for the Metropolitans.
So I just want to clarify real quick before I take my first guess. So the second Blank is an Expos hitter, not a Mets hitter.
No, these are Mets.
Oh, they're all Mets. Okay,
you
said for the Expos in the second one. Okay, no.
Well, I meant Olympic Stadium.
Got
Expos.
That's the old Olympic Stadium. Yes, the old Olympic Stadium. All righty. All 3 Mets hitters. It's the first. I think you've done this. I get the first guess at this one. 2004. I don't even know if this is the right timeline, but let's go 2-run home run by Carlos Delgado.
It's not Delgado.
No, I wasn't there yet.
I think he's still
Tom.
Blue Jay.
All right.
Oh, good. Let's see. We'll just rip the hopefully easy one, the 2-run home run. Is Mike Piazza still there?
He's still there, but it's not Piazza.
Okay.
Not Piazza.
I think he hit a lot of home runs in 04.
This is last Mets year.
Well, let's see what's there.
Let's go with the. Is it Cliff Floyd with the 2-run homer?
It is not Floyd for the 2-run shot. He was on the team.
That was a good.
All right, so back to the top here. Typically, with the amount of points we have, we don't do hints either. So we're just gonna get right back into it here. 2-run home run, hit a ball off the speaker. So hit a ball off the speaker sounds like a guy who's got some real power. So you know what we're going to do? Sean Green hit a ball off the speaker at Olympic Stadium.
I like the name a little early, though.
Yeah, he's not there yet.
Not Sean Green.
I mean, this wouldn't necessarily be Corey being tricky, but I'm just going to double down on Cliff Floyd as Cliff Floyd hit it off the speaker.
My audio cut Cliff Floyd. It is not Cliff Floyd, but again, he was on the team.
All right.
Joe.
How about 2 home runs? How about Mike Cameron?
The 2 home runs was Michael Cameron.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Yes.
It's a knock for Joe.
I think that was his first.
Now, remember, 3 at-bat system, so he won't get another at-bat, but it's going to be me now. Oh, damn, Mike Cameron. So Mike Cameron's got the 2-homer game. We still have somebody who had a cycle. I mean, What a game for the Mets.
It was a wild game. You don't get these games with the current team, I'll tell you that.
Jeez.
I'm just trying to think of guys who are still there.
Okay.
Cycles.
Let's go Kaz Matsui for the cycle.
Not Kaz Matsui, but I think he led off that game or bad second. He was in the lineup.
I'm out. Well, I'm officially fully K'd out now. Tom, your final at bat. Let's see if you get a hit here.
David Wright up in 04? Did he hit that cycle?
It wasn't right, but I think he made his debut in June. So he was on the team, but it was not right with the cycle.
Okay. Not a good game for the Yankee boys. Joe,
trying to think of guys who might have
last AB. You have a hit. See if you can get two.
Kazmats. So 5th inning ball off the speaker. I feel like I wouldn't get the cycle. It was too early for Reyes to have a cycle. I don't even know if Reyes had a cycle as a bet. Let's go ball off the speaker. Let's go Ty Wigginton.
Was on the team. This was actually right. It might be like the day before they trade him, but not Wington. Not Wington.
So Joe gets 1 point out of the 2 homer games. So Corey, what are the rest of the answers here?
So the off the speaker in the cycle was the same player. And it was this one was a little tough for the Yankee fans, but it was such a wild moment with the ruling and everything in the cycle. It was Mets bench player for several years, Eric Valent.
You needed points without saying you needed points. Oh my
Mike.
So it was Eric Valent for those 2 extra spots.
Both. Wow. He hit the
He doubled
the home run.
Eric Valent
ruled the grounds were home run, and then he hit the triple his next at bat.
Let's remember this.
I will.
At the end of the season, the Eric
I'm
Valent
remember that.
twosome.
That's crazy. That's freaking crazy.
Jesus
All right,
Christ.
Eric Valent, ladies and gentlemen, Eric Valent. And I could have did something similar with my next game, and I decided I wasn't going to be a scumbag. So look, here it is, folks. Let's go with the Yankees version of this. And I wanted to get a little patriotic here. All right, we got the 4th of July holiday coming up. Let's go back to an old 4th of July game as Tom's rocking one of the old hats. Tom, you getting the new one, the 250? That one looks nice.
That hat looks ugly.
All right, whatever.
I like it.
I don't. Nobody asked you anyway. All right, so the defining moment.
You literally just
July 4th, 2010. This Yankees pitcher would take the hill in this one and throw 6 innings pitched, but allow 5 earned runs, all courtesy of the long ball. A solo home run from this Toronto Blue Jays hitter, a 3-run home run from Dwayne Wise, and a solo home run from last week's trick of the trade, Adam Lind. In this back and forth game, though, the Yankees would score 5 runs of their own, including an inside-the-park home run from the pictured Brett Gardner. And in the 10th inning, this Yankees hitter would drive in Robinson Cano as the game-winning run with an RBI single. Yankees win on walk-off fashion, 7-6 on the 4th of July of 2010. We're going to go in the order of Corey, Tom, and Joe for our guesses here. Corey?
Let's see. So we start off with a Yankee pitcher. All right, all courtesy of the long ball solo home run from Blank, who was with Toronto. And then in the 10th inning, Blank would drive in Cano with the game-winning run, obviously. I'm going to go, let's go A.J. Burnett.
A.J. Burnett is incorrect.
That was one of the 2 pitchers I was considering. I'm going to go with CeCe. CeCe gave up some homers.
It is not CeCe Sabathia.
Gosh.
10.
Joe.
All right, so you took 2 most obvious pitchers out. All right, so that increases my odds on a pitcher.
Last thing we need is to increase Joe's odd on anything here.
Let's go solo home run, Toronto, and then 10th inning, drive-in Robinson Cano. 10th inning, let's go with Jorge Posada.
It is not Jorge Posada. Take it right back to the top. Corey?
I'm going to stick to the pitching well. Phil Hughes.
It is Phil Hughes. That is correct. Phil Hughes started this game. On the other side, the Blue Jays started Brandon Morrow. I know that's not one of the ones there, but Phil Hughes did start this game for the Yankees. So that is correct.
Okay.
Yes, Tom?
All right. We're gonna go for this Yankee hitter here. Let's see. I'll say the Yankee hitter was we'll go Mark Teixeira.
It is not Mark Teixeira. We are missing the walk-off winner and the Toronto hitter that hit the first home run of 3 off of Phil Hughes.
How about, is it my turn?
Yep.
How about the Grandy man? How about Curtis Granderson?
It is not Curtis Granderson.
Ooh.
Process of elimination.
Corey, it's back up to you. This is your final at bat. You already got one hit.
Let's go. Let's go Melky Cabrera.
It is not Melky Cabrera. Naming good ones. Naming all good ones. I actually think at this time Melky was off the team. I think Melky was traded after the World Series win. So,
all right.
Final at bat.
Sure. Let's see. Who haven't we named from that starting? When are you hurt again?
It's probably not a starter. It's probably like
you know what? If I go out with my guy, I go out with my guy. Alexander Emmanuel Rodriguez hit the walk-off.
You know what, Tom? That's a great guess, but it's not corrct. It's not.
He might have been suspended.
No, it's great. It's at least 1 point for me. We'll just figure out if we can get 2. Joe.
Let's see. Is A-Rod suspended when this happens?
Let's try for this one. What random Toronto name can we pull out? Adam Lind is on this.
Yep.
So
I could have did that. I could have did it. I could have did it 2 weeks. We could have did it 2 weeks in a row. I was like, you know what? Let me pull back.
That would have been great.
I feel like we probably mentioned both of these names last week.
It's possible.
In the last guest. Who's
I really wanted to pull the Dwayne Wise one too, and I was like, I'm not going to be a scumbag. I'm not going to do it. They'll never get it.
Solo 2010 Blue Jays. Let's go. And it's not Adam Lind. Let's go Lyle Overbay.
Joe, I don't know how the fuck you do this, man. I really
is that really?
It's Lyle Overbay.
Guys,
I
really
have
intervention with Joe.
We gotta have like an investigation. Like this is getting.
You can. I swear. I swear to God.
Absurd. Yes, Lyle Overbay hit a solo home run off of Phil Hughes. The correct answer for the guy who drove in Robinson Cano for the walk-off is Marcus Timms. And Marcus Timms did this already in that season. Marcus Timms had a big walk-off homer that year. So Marcus had 2 walk-offs. That was a second.
Guys, I'm going to be honest. I might just sit out games from now on. I can't play with a cheater. I can't.
I'm not cheating.
This is ridiculous.
I'm not cheating. Guys, look, there's no tabs open on my screen.
I am abstaining from that.
What did that say on that?
I'm making this a point. I am abstaining from the next game because I am protesting. I'm putting the P up, protest, because what this man has been doing.
Tom, I will say, you're on deck for picking the game. Go as obscure as you can. Let's make it fun.
We're gonna
pick up some points.
But guys, I didn't get the Eric Valent thing. If I was cheating, wouldn't you think I would have gotten the Eric?
And that would have been a lot. That you would have really had to have dug into the wells to get whatever an Eric Valent is.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Blue Jays up 2-1 on the Mets, bottom 7th. Tigers up on the Yankees going into the 7th. They're still up 7-0. Brutal.
I got a soccer game to watch. Let's wrap this up.
Oh, good for you, man.
Jacob Young looked like Eric Campbell for a second.
Well, while you're watching football there, or whatever the folks are calling it nowadays, Joe, let's talk about YouTube. What's the latest and greatest?
Yes, you could go to X and watch us on X, but YouTube is our preferred platform. Why? We connect with you, the chat, here on the show. So do us a favor, go over to YouTube, type in Empire State of Baseball, hit that subscribe button. It is free. And don't forget to like the video and give us a follow. You can follow us every Monday. We go live from here on out. And one of the big things that we have coming up is going to be our 2026 MLB deadline special on Monday, the 3rd. We're going to go live on the 3rd during the trade deadline. So we're not sure at the start time just yet, but I think it's going to be around 5 o'clock. And we're going to take you all the way through that trade deadline and even probably about an hour afterwards as news continues to break, as trades get made, as we see. I'm sure we're going to have a busy deadline. The Yankees are going to be buyers. The Mets are probably going to be sellers. So there's going to be a lot of action for both teams. So join us then. It's a great time. We have our live reactions. Rich has got the Twitter feed going crazy. So we'll get that news as soon as it breaks. We got the Jeff Passan notification set for all the Passan bombs. So we'll be there, and any ESB family is welcome to join us and join in and join the commentary.
Baseball's got the World Series. Football's got the Super Bowl. We have this show right here. The MLB Trade Deadline Show 2025 was one of our best episodes that we've ever done. Our big attendance. And as it should, I mean, the news was pouring in. It was a crazy deadline last year. And now think about this idea that potentially the best starting pitcher in all of baseball could also move. And we may be here live to react to that on that night. So August the 3rd, it is a Monday. So we're not going to have our regular Empire State of Baseball that night. We're just going to have this show going down, ESB Live, Monday, August the 3rd. Yes, tentatively, it is going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time that night. So going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for calling that out. Let's get into All-Star game stuff, folks. We haven't really done much All-Star activity. Games coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So I wanted to get into the ballots because they will reveal the winners by the end of this week. And a little bit of a twist for us because I feel like for the most part, we're all kind of like on the same plane as a baseball fan. We're all pretty much going to be voting for the same guy. So I asked everybody here to provide not only their AL and NL first team, the people that's going to be on their ballot. I also want them to provide their second team, the guys who are the runner-up. May or may not make the All-Star game. Should probably be getting more love. We'll kick it around. We'll start off with the American League side, and we'll look across the board and see how the guys fared. And very similar to, if you guys remember the player rankings back in February of how this graphic was laid out. But this is what you got. Look, a lot of players here that are across the board similar. Love seeing Cam Schlittler there. Love seeing Cody Bellinger there. Like the thinking here of the crowd. Alvarez, big year. But we'll go individual, kind of pick up some notes here. Corey Favs, kind of an outlier on a couple of players. Ben Rice, you have at first base. Even the two Yankee fans are voting Nick Kurtz in. And you got Miguel Vargas having a breakout year for the Chicago White Sox at third base. You want to talk about some of your corner infield picks there?
Yeah, real quick on Rice. I mean, we're doing the show every Monday. I got him on my fantasy team. I've seen firsthand how big of a piece he's been for the Yankees team. I know he cooled off a little bit from that phenomenal start, but I'm going to give him the nod there. Vargas, gave a little bit of White Sox love, and I think I had some more White Sox love on the second team. It was very hard not to go Caminero, but you look at Vargas, he does have more runs, more RBIs, more stolen bases, less at bats, so he's doing more with less. And he's a big part of that White Sox run. I mean, none of us predicted the White Sox to be where they are. I feel like at least with the Rays, they tend to do this a lot of times where you don't think much of them, and somehow they always find themselves in the thick of things until the end, and then they fold apart in the playoffs. But the White Sox run completely unexpected. And I feel like every time I turn on Twitter or turn on MLB Network or go on Twitter, I feel like I'm always seeing Vargas highlights with the White Sox. So I gave him the nod at third base.
Joe, I really like seeing the middle of this for the outfield. There's a lot of good outfield choices for the American League. I mean, nothing like an all-star game that could feature Mike Trout possibly back in it. Hadn't been in the game since 2023. Let's talk Mike Trout.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's been much improved this year. He looks a little more like the Mike Trout. He's still not a typical Trout season. He's only in 234, but his on-base percentage is 394, and he's got 17 home runs. In the AL, where the outfield is really thin, That to me is good enough to get a starting nod from a guy like Trout. So I don't think, I thought of Green. I thought of a couple guys. You'll see my second team, but I thought Trout deserved it. Been rebounding this year, and it's Mike Trout. So having him in the outfield, that it is an all-star game. There's still an aspect to that, I believe. But I got two problems for the others, and I need explanations. I listen, Corey. I appreciate that you like Vargas.
I love that everyone gets to go, but then Joe gets to talk about everyone else's ballot.
But Caminero over Vargas. And Tom, what are we doing with Jazz Chisholm? He's batting.
That was going to be my question.
I will tell you what we're doing with Jazz Chisholm. I will tell you, Joe, if you would shut the fuck up, I will tell you what we're doing with Jazz Chisholm. Here's the deal. The whole Ernie Clement thing is such a joke. The Canadian bozos who are just stuffing the ballot boxes and getting him to be the most voted. It's such a loser behavior. Like, we want to get our guy Ernie Clement the most votes. It's so incredibly lame. Do I think Jazz should be the starting second baseman? Honestly, no, I don't. I refuse to buy into this dumbass Toronto, overall Canada, like, we're just going to put all our guys in. The Royals did that for years with the entire starting team, which was the Kansas City Royals. The Jays have been doing this now for a few years now, where it's like if you go by the votes, every one of their guys is up there, and so many are undeserving. Is Ernie Clement having a good year? Sure. But I am, again, like, I'm protesting you cheating in the game. I'm protesting the loser behavior from our neighbors.
The voting's a joke, but look, Clement is having a good season. I mean, he might be the one. He's probably the only one that's actually deserving of his vote.
Should he have more
absolutely
votes
not.
Than anyone?
No,
you know what? You're out. You tried too hard. You're out.
Tom. He's hitting 300, and you pick a different. But if you're going to make the argument against him, you can't pick Jazz Chisholm, whose on base percentage is lower than Clement's average.
I would rather abstain and just play with no second base.
But then abstain, but don't give me Jazz Chisholm, because it makes you look like a bigger moron than the morons you're calling out.
No, because I don't really care about Jazz starting. I kind of just threw someone in there. It's Ernie Clement. That whole thing is Ernie Clement deserves more votes than Bobby Witt.
Does he
deserve more votes than Yordan Alvarez
at second base, Tom?
It was extremely weak.
Nick,
overall,
it's just didn't Nick Kurtzline make the final vote for first base?
And he or Rice should have been there. There is actually probably 3 or 4 first basemen should have been in there over Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah,
Vladdy's not having a good season.
Yeah, you'll see it when we get to see it when we get to the next screen. I put no Jays anywhere. You know what? You guys are a bunch of losers. Get out.
We'll take a quick glance right here, and then we'll get to the NL side. Spend a lot of time. It's crazy, right? How many White Sox are on this second slide across the board? I mean, Meidroth at second, Vargas at third, Montgomery at short. Davis Martin even got a vote in Corey's book, and I was like, Davis Martin. I'm like, is starting pitching that not dominant in America? And it's not. The American League starting pitching crop after Cam Schlittler, and this is why Cam across the board was unanimous there, is not that great. Look, there's 4 different guys in that selection. I found it interesting that McGonigal was both listed at short and third base for 2 different guys here. I did give Jazz a nod there at second base too as a runner-up. Rosa Reyes.
I should have put Meredith as my starting second baseman.
Yandy Diaz having an incredible season. I mean, as Yordan Alvarez and Yandy Diaz are giving.
Yandy Diaz should have more votes than Ernie Clement.
I mean, there you go. Corey, any comments as you look over this, and then we can move on to the NL.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing with Martin over there, another guy on both of my fantasy teams, and if it wasn't for the one start versus the Yankees, where I think they obliterated him for like 9 runs a couple of starts ago, his ERA was like 2 even, and then he got obliterated for 9 runs, which ballooned it up to 3 even. So phenomenal year. Again, just part of that White Sox magical run. I hope they keep it up, and if they do, with the Mets out of it, I'm going to root for the White Sox. Let's just go for the complete wild card fun.
Yeah. So National League side, Joe, we'll let's take a look at this National League end here. Your big NL guy. across the board. I mean, everybody was in on that pitching staff, and Mizorowski and Miller. Tom, we're gonna have a conversation. I know Ohtani got the league vote there, but I mean, Schwarber's been incredible this season. Look at second base again. It's every single year, especially when we get to our player rankings and such. There's a different second baseman listed in each one of those. You got Brandon Lau in your spot, Luis Arias in mine, Bryce Terang, JJ Weatherholt. Second base is just an abysmal position, Joe. It's just you don't really have the best options there where it's just unanimous.
Yeah, I went with Lau. Like I said, Lau. You said it best. Second base is kind of all over the place. I went with Lau because he signed with the Pirates. He's hit 20 home runs as a second baseman with the Pirates. Yes, his slash line isn't quite where you want it to be, but when the Pirates trade for a player and he hits 20 home runs at second base for him, a la Neil Walker style. He's kind of put the Pirates in that conversation of, maybe they can be a fringe playoff team if they can get another bat or two in there at the deadline. And Lau's a big part of that. I mean, he's really kind of, stabilized the middle of that order for them. So I think he deserves a nod for that, to be honest with you. I think a lot of these guys are pretty much, we're in agreement on here. We're splitting hairs with some of these outfielders. I hate to say it, CJ Abrams has had a phenomenal year. He's earned the bid at shortstop in my opinion. And for a guy in Tom who claims Ohtani is overhyped and all this stuff, he has a chance to not put Ohtani in the All-Star game, and the first thing he does is put Ohtani over.
I mean, I have Schwarber on my second team. It's like are we gonna be upset if I mean, what are we doing?
Schwarber's got 13 more home runs than him.
Schwarber's been incredible this season. Incredible.
Sure, fine. I have him. I also have him as an all-star.
Corey, we talked about how bad the American League second base position is. Can we talk about how bad the National League third base position is?
We have 4 different guys.
I was looking at the stats and I was like, is it really Max Muncy? Is this really who it is?
It's so bad.
I'm so happy everyone else came to the same conclusion.
Look at who I got in my second team, and I wanted to throw up typing that name.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So let's do it. We'll take a look at the second team here. And the second team, Joe. Yeah. I mean, Joe's got Bo Bichette. I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about that. I mean, I got Nick Gonzalez. I think there's a lot of Nick Gonzalez. I don't even know if many people know who Nick Gonzalez. I think this is the first time a lot of people are hearing Nick Gonzalez's name for the first time. Pirates third base, hitting 294 though. So I took that into account. Brian Reynolds, my favorite guy to piss off Pirates Nation with years ago back in an old trade deadline episode. Love seeing that. Corey Favs, the young flamethrower. Chase Burns as a second starting pitcher. Burns has been incredible this year, Corey. I'd say that's a good pick.
Yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be Sanchez as my guy. And then I'm looking at the numbers. And I'm like, oh, my God. And again, I have Burns on my fantasy team, so I know he's doing good. But I was like, oh, my God, he's got a better whip and a better ERA. I'm like, oh, my, how a better average against. It's like, whoa, he's having a phenomenal year, Burns. He's a young stud. I hope he stays healthy. He's going to have a very good career.
Tom, I liked your thinking with the Luis Arias. I had him there at second base again.
He's at 300. He has to be there.
There's also about like 5 or 6 second basemen I think could fill out that role as National League starting second baseman. I mean, yeah, he's been having an awesome year. He's even popped 6 homers, the kickoff this year. It's definitely going to be somebody who's going to be sought after by trade deadline time if the Giants continue to go the other way. Ellie De La Cruz, interesting pick there. Shortstop's been kind of all over the place. Joe, any other comments as you're seeing here? Big Bo Bichette fan, Joe. Joe Bichette.
Yeah, the offense is so bad. I mean, Bo Bichette at hitting 260 looked like a decent option compared to everything else, and the numbers are not that far off. That's the crazy thing. It's not that wild when you actually look at the numbers. Chapman obviously is the great defender. He can't hit a lick. He's hitting 202. I'm sorry, I can't have somebody who's hitting 202 in an All-Star game. I can't do it. So that's I
mean, I got to say this too, and across the 2 National League pages, there's a catcher at the top, especially in page number 1. Look, I know Yankee fans out there will bring this full circle are looking at Ryan Jeffers as that possibility to fill out that position, but I would not mind making that call to Colorado to bring in a guy right now who's got 25 home runs, that is, on the 2026 season.
I know we're going to go to a new CBA, but like he was a rookie, last year? He has like that you'd have to give up a haul to get him.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't 100%. Think I don't. The Rockies are weird. I don't know.
Very weird. They could get a lot out of him.
And the crazy thing with Goodman, because Coors Field, his numbers are significantly worse at home.
That is interesting.
Interesting.
That is very interesting.
That's a deal. If that's on the table, and it's like you can go out. Is Tarek Skubal a better player than Goodman? Obviously, yes.
Oh yeah,
but that's a kind of guy that like does really fill a need, and like you see into the future where I would put more of those. I'd put more of those chips into that basket again. I don't think a guy like that's actually available though.
We'll see. Have more talk on trade deadline stuff over the next month. Big trade deadline. ESB Live happening on August 3rd. We'll have our own mock show in a few weeks' time. We'll keep you guys all posted on all that good stuff. And we usually do that on X. So give us a follow at ESB Podcasts on X. Give our subsidiaries a follow at ESPNYM, at ESPNYY. Also, give us some love on our spaces as well. We got a lot of great spaces throughout the week. A Bronx Take Monday through Wednesdays, hosted by me, Joey, and Chris. We're also sending our love to Sierra, who is one of our other hosts and contributors to everything we got going on ESPNYY. BX2X has been a hit lately. Bronx Take covers the days, but at nights you'll get BX2X. And on a night like this, maybe following extra innings, I don't know, maybe Big Slick will feel a little bit chippy and want to talk about the Yankees potentially losing this game, which right now is at 7-0 in favor of the Tigers. Queens Boulevard, hosted by Phil from Shirley, is Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we got extra innings, which is going to follow this episode. We're going to have a close of 10 o'clock p.m. Open mic format. So come up, talk ball, give the guys some crap over some of the things you heard on this episode number 167. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Jazz Chisholm because we didn't get a chance to do that on extra innings. So make sure to come over to ESB Podcast over on X. But that's going to be it for this episode of ESB. We'll see you. Oh, wait, I wanted to show just one more thing before everybody went.
Jeez.
Remember this thing? We haven't looked at our latest standings in the MLB team draft. This was the most updated for Joe once again, because Joe just doesn't stop winning here. 317 wins. I mean, it's going to help when you draft the White Sox in the last round and they're in first place in their division. Look at the Rays down there. This is an order of the draft. And Tom, who absolutely decided to curse the Mets and the Red Sox, he's at 288 wins altogether. I'm pulling up in the rear once again, 284. Corey, 295.
What the Mets have done to me this year is reprehensible.
What you've done to the Mets is reprehensible.
Listen, and Tom would say I cheat at things and stuff. How did I cheat on this, Tom? Or am I just
this you didn't cheat it. That's fine.
I'm just saying, so
you cheat in other things. I mean, you don't cheat. I don't think you cheat in every single thing you do in life. I think you cheat in these games.
You salty. You're always bringing up the rear, Tom. You always sit.
I'm not bringing up the rear. Rich is bringing up the rear.
And watch just like you did with the ESB Bulls and Bears last year. You sat on Judge all year, and then you end up losing because you didn't make it.
And then there was collusion.
It was collusion. You're just bad.
I've had enough of this. I'm leaving.
Let's wrap this damn thing up. Oh, he left. He actually left, the son of a bitch. He's gone. All right, so Tom's out. We'll see you, Tom. He wasn't going to give us much on the end anyway. So thank you all for coming out, all 80 of you who did show up for Empire State of Baseball. We appreciate you. We'll love you. We'll see you next week. Got a little more New York Strike Exchange for you next week. So stay tuned for that, Joe. To you, Corey, for the wrap.
Just, happy 4th of July, everybody. Hope everybody celebrates safely. Good luck to those who are in Staten Island, because that's usually a war zone by the end of the day.
Always 100%. Yeah, just wish everyone have a happy and safe 4th of July. Stay cool. Thankfully, we're not in Europe with no AC. Put that AC on low. Enjoy yourself. We'll talk to you guys next week. Take care. There we go.